Sound the alarm bells because we have an emergency podcast on Brandon's World because Drew McIntyre is the new undisputed WWE champion. And I had been calling this for months, not just weeks, not just when this free States of Hell match between Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre was announced. But I have been saying that Drew McIntyre should be the one to dethrone Cody Rhodes all the way back to their first contest at WrestlePalooza in September. And for the record, I'm going to say this up front. I do not think that Drew McIntyre walks into Las Vegas this year at WrestleMania as WWE champion. Do I think it's possible? Yes, I do. But it doesn't have to be. And I think that's one of the most important things here is, WWE the last few years have had very predictable long world title reigns. The only people that have held that specific undisputed WWE championship was obviously Roman Reigns until WrestleMania 40, Cody Rhodes from WrestleMania 40 to WrestleMania 41, John Cena from WrestleMania 41 to SummerSlam, and then Cody Rhodes from SummerSlam to last night. So Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes twice, John Cena, and Drew McIntyre. That is an established list of stars. And over on Raw, outside of the Money in the Bank catch and Damian Priest, we had a long world title reign from Gunther that lasted to WrestleMania 41 when Jey Uso won the belt. And again, outside of Gunther winning that world title back against Jey Uso on the June 9th edition of Monday Night Raw this past year in Phoenix, Arizona. We haven't really had a shocking world title change in a long time. And going into this, I thought this was the perfect opportunity for Drew McIntyre to win the title. I said, well, if Braun Breaker is not going to win the World Championship on Monday Night Raw, WWE has started out this year with a big splash. You had Julia winning the United States Championship from Chelsea Green on the first SmackDown back. You had Rhea Ripley and Io Sky winning the Women's Tag Team Championships from Asuka and Kairi Sane during the Stranger Things edition of Monday Night Raw. You had, of course, the debuts of Trick Williams and Jordan Grace and the return of Matt Cardona and this huge influence right now of the young NXT superstars over in front of that SmackDown. You had the return of the Viper, Randy Orton. You had so much there that I did feel like WWE needed to make another big splash to make this second edition of the 3 hour SmackDown fun, exciting, different than the first time they did it a year ago. Because a year ago, in my opinion, it did not work. And going into this Free Stages of Hell match, I thought that Cody was going to beat Drew straight up because Cody had won every straight up wrestling match they had. I thought Drew would then use the outside environment of the Falls Count Anywhere match to beat Cody Rhodes. And then I thought, well, Cody's going to find a way. Someone's going to screw Drew McIntyre. Cody's going to retain the championship. Though, as I said, I would have booked Drew to win the championship, but I thought we were full steam ahead on the plan is the plan. Cody Rhodes had to win because Roman Reigns is going to win the Royal Rumble, and Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns free, which I'm all for, by the way, and I still think that it is on the table to happen, and I don't think that match would happen without the championship, by the way. So, with that being said, eh, the first match, Drew McIntyre distracts the referee, takes off the turnbuckle. Cody without looking, bam, Claymore, 1, 2, 3. The second match, Falls Count Anywhere, they go out in the crowd. Cody Rhodes is using a fan's cell phone and taking a selfie as he's biting Drew McIntyre. He's using another fan's coat to throw at Drew McIntyre. It's a very physical match. McIntyre is ramming him up against these physical barricades near the backstage area. Eventually, Cody was able to hit a crossroads on McIntyre. They fall for the table. 1, 2, 3. Cody Rhodes throws Drew McIntyre back in the ring. The steel cage lowers, and we are now set for the third fall. And let me just say this, in my opinion, 3 Stages of Hell may be my favorite stipulation in all of wrestling. The reason for it is, yes, we know it's likely to go to that third fall 99 to 100% of the time. but it's different than a traditional two out of three falls match because a traditional two out of three falls match is what it is. It's two out of three falls. There's a 30-second rest break sometimes in between falls. They're all usually either singles matches or sometimes the third stage could be a falls count anywhere match. But with three stages of hell and a normal straight up wrestling match is a stipulation. But every match has a different stipulation and falls count anywhere. And a normal wrestling match is very different than a steel cage match. And the commentary team did a great job selling it, and you have to be willing to adapt immediately to your new environment. I think that's why I love that match type so much. And I like the fact that, outside of the spots where they're climbing the cage, they throw each other against the cage. They didn't really use the steel cage much as a weapon. It was just used to confine these two individuals. And Cody hit a couple Cody cutters, including a super Cody cutter where he jumped off the cage and perfectly landed on Drew McIntyre, which I have no idea how he hit that maneuver. Again, McIntyre to Claymore. Cody kick out. I was a little bothered when they would go for a super Cody cutter or a big suplex spot off the cage or anything massive. That immediately afterwards, the superstar that connected with the maneuver did not get up and try to climb out the door. I thought that overall the pacing of the match was very good, and that includes all three stages. I would have just liked that for a little bit more detail. But McIntyre does eventually try to climb out of the steel cage. And when he does, there's another hooded man. And unlike Austin Theory, this guy unveils himself right away. It's one of the biggest tropes in wrestling. It is overdone way too much, but it is a masked man. And originally, I'll be honest with you, I thought the masked man was Randy Orton, who we saw earlier in the night, RKO The Miz. And what I forgot to mention, and what is probably important here, is the rumors online stated that Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes was going to be at the Royal Rumble for the Undisputed Championship. And I said on Tuesday's show, I said the greatest thing and the worst thing we wrestling fans do is we read rumors and we buy into them and we believe that everything is true because when the rumors aren't true, I think there's even more of a shock. But I try to stay off rumors the best I can, but it is like a wrestling addiction. It is like a wrestling drug. We want to know about the behind the scenes. I think it's one of the reasons why I enjoy WWE Unreal so much, and I enjoy the behind the scenes documentaries. I enjoy watching how a match is put together. I enjoy them talking about creative and where we're gonna go. I think of my own storylines and not a book, and I pitch them to you and my guests all the time here on Brandon's World. And I forgot about Jacob Fatu. And when I saw Jacob Fatu, I said, I think this actually means Drew McIntyre is going to win the championship because I said, what if? Because they never said specifically that Drew McIntyre was the one that attacked Jacob Fatu. Remember, it was ensued by Cody Rhodes. And that's one of the reasons why they had that impromptu undisputed WWE Championship match on SmackDown that was a disqualification because of the vision that, of course, led to the War Games cage. But I knew that that actually meant good news for McIntyre. And after Fatu started wailing on McIntyre, Cody started crawling towards the door, and Jacob Fatu just smacks the American Nightmare. And when he does that, I said, oh, that's it. Drew McIntyre's going to win the championship. And of course, Drew McIntyre then does go outside the cage. Look at it. My recording software looked like it had a little bit of lag. Of course, Drew McIntyre then does go outside the cage. Drew McIntyre falls down. Drew McIntyre does win the undisputed WWE Championship. And I am elated because it opens up so many doors and possibilities for the Royal Rumble. Of course, next Friday on SmackDown, live from the O2 in Wembley, London, England, we have Randy Orton versus The Miz. We have Matt Cardona versus Trick Williams. We have Sami Zayn against Ilya Dragunov, and we have Damian Priest against Solo Sikoa. The winner of those four matches will go on to a fatal four-way to main event Saturday night's main event in Montreal, with the winner facing Drew McIntyre now for the Undisputed Championship at the Royal Rumble, which means Cody Rhodes isn't even going to get his rematch in the Royal Rumble, which means that Cody Rhodes has to enter the Royal Rumble, a match that he's won back to back, and he would try to tie Stone Cold Steve Austin with the most Royal Rumble victories in history with three. And now that Braun Breaker is not the World Champion, Braun Breaker is going to be in the Royal Rumble. There's a huge possibility Seth Rollins could be in the Royal Rumble. I think Roman Reigns is going to be in the Royal Rumble, and Brock Lesnar may even be in the Royal Rumble. So this star-studded Royal Rumble that we had in 2025 with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and CM Punk and John Cena. Now we have Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins, and Brock Lesnar to build off of this year's Royal Rumble. And by the way, let me add this to the equation. So we know Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre have been feuding. We know Drew McIntyre is the one that took out Randy Orton. We know that Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest, we saw them meet backstage before the 3 Stages of Hell match. Their infamous rivalry over the Undisputed Championship. We know Sami Zayn, who on the first SmackDown of 2026 cut a promo saying he is going to be a world champion in 2026. And then you have a guy like Matt Cardona, who in TNA has a lot of history with Drew McIntyre. I think, in my opinion, those are your four: Randy Orton, Matt Cardona, Sami Zayn, Damian Priest. I think you should have all baby faces in that fatal four-way. I could see Solo over Priest over a bit. I could even see Trick Williams potentially over Matt Cardona if you want a heel in there. But I think that then that opens up the door. Do you want to do Randy Orton against Drew McIntyre? I don't think Priest and McIntyre running it back at the Royal Rumble would be my best guess. But you could run back Orton versus McIntyre for the WWE Championship, with this time obviously Orton being the face, McIntyre being the heel, dating all the way back to their WWE Championship rivalry in 2020 and their rivalry involving Logan Paul and Joey Rowe earlier this year. But in Saudi Arabia, where the Royal Rumble is going to be, I think Sami Zayn, who winning that championship in Montreal, would get a huge pop from the crowd if he won that fatal four-way, at Saturday night's main event. Having Sami Zayn against Drew McIntyre in Saudi, to me, that's the money match, and you could put Randy Orton in that Royal Rumble mix that I mentioned earlier. And now, all of a sudden, in my opinion, when Cody Rhodes was the undisputed champion, the favorite to win the 2026 Royal Rumble was Roman Reigns. Now I think you look at it and it's like Braun Breaker could win the Royal Rumble. Braun Breaker could get his rematch with CM Punk. I talked about this on Tuesday's show. But last year at Saturday night's main event, we had Gunther versus Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship, and we got that rematch at WrestleMania 41. I think it's very possible we get Braun Breaker versus CM Punk on the first Raw of 2026. We get that rematch at WrestleMania 42. You could even have Seth Rollins return, win the Royal Rumble, and challenge CM Punk, and somehow Braun Breaker gets inserted in the match. Or you could even do this, and Sam Roberts from Not Sam Wrestling, a podcast I listen to all the time, for this pitch, and I thought it was great. What if Braun Breaker wins the Royal Rumble? And what if Seth Rollins wins the Elimination Chamber? And, the thought is, oh, it's going to be. And then what if on that same night now, of course, Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes, and maybe even you put Jacob Fatu in there in a triple threat match for the Undisputed Championship. You have Cody Rhodes pin Drew McIntyre because Jacob Fatu hit a big moonsault on Drew, or, something like that. And you have Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre go one-on-one at WrestleMania. and Cody Rhodes gets his undisputed championship back. Well, what if Seth Rollins wins the Elimination Chamber? And we know Seth Rollins still hates Cody Rhodes. Well, Seth Rollins, you would think now, because Braun Breaker has chosen his challenger for the World Championship, oh, we're going to get Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 42. And Seth Rollins says, no, I want to use my title shot on CM Punk, and I want a triple threat match to main event night one of WrestleMania 42 between CM Punk, Braun Breaker, and Seth Franklin Rollins. And then all of a sudden, Cody Rhodes is left without a challenger. Oh, because it is important to note, Triple H has specifically said in the past, Roman Reigns does not need to be a number one contender to get a championship shot because he is Roman Reigns. He is the tribal chief. He is the star. I still think it's on the table. Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, night two, main event for the Undisputed Championship. I mentioned Drew McIntyre against Sami Zayn at the Royal Rumble. What if they don't want to do that? What if they want to do Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton at the Royal Rumble and either A, Sami Zayn enters the Royal Rumble and wins it, or B, Sami Zayn wins the Elimination Chamber and Drew McIntyre is still champion and you crown Sami Zayn at WrestleMania 42 when Sami Zayn finally defeats Drew McIntyre, a man that Sami Zayn has not been able to beat. That's been the story they've been telling. Sami Zayn is not able to beat Drew McIntyre one on one. Sami Zayn, who has said he wanted to be a world champion in WWE this year. Well, what if he does it at WrestleMania? And then you're like, oh, well, okay, what does Cody Rhodes do? Well, that's a good question. Is there a world out there where Cody Rhodes turns heel? I do believe, and I've been saying this. I think that at WrestleMania 42, Cody Rhodes, I thought was going to turn heel on Roman Reigns. Well, what if, for the sake of argument, Sami Zayn wins the Royal Rumble? Well, then we go to the Elimination Chamber. CM Punk is still world champion at this point. CM Punk needs a challenger. Bam! Cody Rhodes wins the Elimination Chamber. You have CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 42 for the World Heavyweight Championship. And then, what do you do with Roman Reigns? Well, you could put Roman Reigns with Braun Breaker. You could do and not have Seth Rollins involved. You could have Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins team up against the Vision. I mean, you could do Seth, Cody, Punk in a triple threat. You could do Roman, Cody, Punk in a triple threat with Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker. Do you see what I'm saying here, folks? There are a million possibilities that could open up here. I thought going into WrestleMania 42, going into the first SmackDown, I should say, of 2026, it was very clear what the two main events, the night one of WrestleMania, was going to be CM Punk defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Braun Breaker. I thought there was a little bit of an outside chance that could be Braun Breaker defending the world title against Punk or Braun Breaker defending the world title against Seth Rollins. And I thought the main event of night two was either going to be Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, or if they went the route of Braun Breaker being champion against Seth Rollins, you could do Cody, Punk, Roman triple threat match with Cody as the champion going in. Now, I just told you all the different scenarios. There's another scenario where they just run it back, Cody and Drew McIntyre one more time at WrestleMania. So WrestleMania 42 right now on the board on the undisputed WWE Championship side. You have Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn. You have Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes. You have Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. You have Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. on the board on the World Heavyweight Championship side, you have CM Punk defending the title against Braun Breaker. You had Braun Breaker defending the title against CM Punk, which I guess could always be a possibility. You have Braun Breaker defending the World Championship against Seth Rollins. You have Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk in a triple threat match with either Breaker or Punk being the world champion going into it. You have CM Punk defending the world championship against Roman Reigns. You have CM Punk defending the world championship against Cody Rhodes. Or you could have CM Punk defending the world championship against Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. So there are so many branching off points that we get from just this one moment. And I don't care, for the record, how long this championship reign lasts for Drew. He could drop it at the Royal Rumble. He could drop it at Elimination Chamber. He could drop it at WrestleMania. He could drop it next week on SmackDown for all I care. The fact of the matter is that this at least opened up the doors of possibility. And WWE, I think, and I've said this, last year, 2025, as much as we love the Never Seen 17, and I was there in Washington, D.C., and those fans were pissed about John Cena losing his final match to the Ring General Gunther, who, by the way, Gunther, who is now the biggest heel in the industry, he is facing AJ Styles this coming Monday night on Raw. We all thought AJ Styles and Gunther was going to be a WrestleMania match. It still could be, but could Gunther somehow find his spot here and get his way back to CM Punk for the World Championship? Absolutely, he could. So, man, the possibilities in the world title scene are endless. And I know I've been focusing on the men a lot more than the women. I still have not figured out the women's side yet. Maybe it's Jade Cargill versus Charlotte Flair. I don't know what the idea is for the Women's World Championship. Maybe it's Stephanie Valkyrie against Rhea Ripley. I said I would love it for Rhea Ripley to be against Io Sky and Rhea Ripley to finally get her one-on-one victory against Io Sky. And I don't even think it has to be a heel turn. I think it's just simply Rhea Ripley defeating Stephanie Valkyrie. You have Io Sky winning a number one contenders match, and this all comes following, maybe Nia Jax and Last Legend taking the women's tag team championships off Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. You have a natural breakup point there after Rhea Ripley, um, becomes the number one contender, beats Stephanie Valkyrie. Maybe Io Sky is the woman that wins the Royal Rumble this year. And that's how you get that natural breakup. Then Rhea takes the championship off of Stephanie Valkyrie, and that's how you get there. But on the men's side, I am very excited for what's to come. And as Michael Cole said at WrestleMania 40, damn it, I love professional wrestling. If you guys have a professional wrestling mind like mine, let me know whether it's on audio, video, put it in the comments. How would you book the main event of night one and night two of WrestleMania 42? Where do you go from here with these stories? And again, a WWE that was so based off John Cena in 2025. In 2026, it was all about, excuse me, 2025 was all about John Cena, and it was about Roman Reigns, and it was about Cody Rhodes, and it was about Brock Lesnar's return. 2026 is going to be about Braun Breaker. It's going to be about Trick Williams. It's going to be about Ilya Dragunov. It's going to be about Matt Cardona. It's going to be about Carmelo Hayes. It's going to be about Oba Femi. It's going to be about Javon Evans. It is going to be the year where they mix in the veterans of Reigns, Punk, Rollins, Lesnar with these young cats. And I think it's going to be the year of unpredictability in WWE. And you're going to want to tune in every single week as WWE gets their wheels spinning again. This is the road to WrestleMania, and this may be the most exciting road to WrestleMania I've ever been a part of. And I say that every year, and there's still the possibility out there the final boss is lurking in the shadows. Oh, baby, let's go. This has been a Brandon's World Wrestling Based Emergency Podcast. Enjoy the NFL wildcard round this weekend, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the college football playoff as well, the national championship itself. We'll talk about all that and more on Tuesday's show. Enjoy the weekend, folks. Drew McIntyre prayed for this and it happened. He is the undisputed WWE champion. Like that clip from the Brand's World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brand's World podcast right here on YouTube.